Hi everybody, Chrissy from Truly Holistic. Thought it was time to do another video. What I've been finding a lot of lately, and what we've been working a lot of lately, is working on the gut. Okay, and for a long time, we hear the fact that everything starts from the gut, right? In regards to health, okay, your immune system and so on. We know, the gut and the microbiota, the friendly bacteria, which we'll get into, can be up to from 80 to 90% of your immune system. Okay, and I want to go a little bit further in depth with this, and what I'm also finding in relevance with a lot of allergies, asthma, these sorts of things. And this has been a bit of a journey for me, as me being I was born asthmatic and had a lot of allergies to a number of things: hay fever, dust pollen, you name it, everything, and it all comes back onto the gut. Okay. Um, so why the gut? Okay, why the gut? And that is because we're a colony. We have colonies of bacteria strains, yeast strains, mold, fungus, you name it, within this body. Okay, we have an ecosystem within our own body. It reflects our external environment is also happening within our internal environment, and we're going to get a little bit into this. A lot of people think it's all coming from externally, but a lot of the times it's actually just a balance of what's happening internally. And I always like to say, your microbes in the body. It's a bit like an analogy of taking a parliament or a government. And you might have heard this in the previous video, where there's only so many seats in the house, and you want the friendly bacteria colonies to be in the majority of those seats, because they'll keep the mold, the fungus, the yeast strains, and the pathogenic bacteria and stuff at bay, okay, and keep their numbers down. But certain factors make pathogenic bacteria, yeast, molds, funguses, candida, all get out of hand. When they proliferate in numbers, then you're in big trouble. Just from having a cold or a flu, but also having a systemic inflammatory response within the body. And this is what I wanted to mainly talk about, because inflammation is the core of a lot of health problems. And systemic inflammation and all these allergic reactions that increase histamine within the body, such as asthma, allergies, and so on. So we want to look at that. And that is all based within the gut. Okay, that is your parliament, that is your government for all those strains. And you want the good ones in check, because the good ones proliferating at a higher number than the bad ones, to keep them in check. So I've always thought of it's not necessarily catching a cold or catching this, it's more of a balance already within your own ecosystem, within your body. And what I'm finding is that mold has been huge. I've been finding a lot of mold, okay? Also a lot of leaky gut, and a lot of ruptures within the gut. Okay, so when we're talking about the gut, we're really essentially talking about the small intestine, because that's the area where you have a lot of colonies of microbes, and it's really the place where all of a sudden your food gets broken down into nutrients, and the nutrients get assimilated or broken down by the strains of bacteria, preferably obviously your friendly bacteria, and then go through the gut membrane into the bloodstream as nutrients. And really, nutrients are just different spectrums of vibration and frequency, and that's what we want from our food. But if that wall is compromised and there's a rupture or there's a hole or a leak, then all of a sudden the food goes into the body, and that's a real big problem, because all of a sudden the body is not used to food being in your body. It's only within the tube itself, which we call your digestive system. This tube that runs all the way from your mouth down to your anus, essentially, is just one big long tube, and that is your digestive system. And really, even though it's within the body, it's not really part of the body, because anything that goes out of that tube into the body, you're in big trouble. So all of a sudden the body will respond as it's when that food goes into the body as a toxin or something that is a threat. And all of a sudden this is the start of a systemic inflammatory response to occur, and a lot of autoimmune conditions are caused by this. Because it just doesn't make sense, with an autoimmune condition from a medical standpoint is the fact that your body's attacking itself, and that just doesn't make sense, does it? There's something not right in regards to that. So, and I've done videos about autoimmune, but that's another topic for another day. But so what I'm finding with a lot of clients is we're going straight to the gut, we're going straight to the digestive system, look where there's been a rupture, where there's leaky gut, okay? And for most chronic problems and health problems we've had for a very long time, there's going to be a compromise within your digestive system, and the gut is coming up a lot. And when you think about, because you've got so many different strains of microbes there, you don't want to have a gut wall being compromised or broken or ruptured at that point, because all of a sudden these microbes will go circulate all around the body, including your blood. So and they'll just proliferate at increasing numbers, yeast, molds, funguses, and then it becomes a really big problem. So that's what we're finding a lot of in regards to the gut, okay? And quite often for people that asthmatics, have allergies for a number of things, are very sensitive and have food intolerances, will always, most likely, always have a compromised gut, okay, or digestive system, whether it be a leaky gut or a rupture within there. And then depending where the rupture is, if the rupture is within the small intestine, further up in the digestive system, it will most likely be the fact that the strains of colonies have gone somewhere else in the body and proliferated out of control, and the fact that there'd be food circulating in the body which creates a systemic inflammatory response. And if you've got a tear or a rupture further down in the colon, then it'll be more bowel toxins that leak into the body and waste products that just circulate within the body and makes your blood toxic, and just it creates fatigue. And also the food, the substance that your bowel, your feces, then is a putrefaction fermentation process that is just going to feed the funguses, the yeasts, the parasites, the pathogenic bacteria and mold and so on. So, and all of a sudden you've got a dirty environment or ecological system within your body, and then you've got a really big problem. So we've been really working on that. And the whole idea of, for example, any asthmatics out there, any people that have got allergy to hay fever, pollen allergies, you'll quite often notice, in springtime, all of a sudden there's a lot of flowers out and pollen, there's an area, a lot of dust, all of a sudden you get in contact with that, all of a sudden you get those symptoms, right? You get your runny nose, itchy eyes, red eyes, increasing histamine in the body, an inflammatory response. And we kind of just put it down to something externally that we've come and exposed to, right? But I think what's really happening here is that you've got already an accumulation of the yeast, of mold, of especially mold, okay, within the body, that when you come in external stimuli or exposure to that, your body's saying, no, we can't handle that, and then all of a sudden you get that reaction. So even though we may think it's something externally coming within, I think it's something already within, and the body can just not cope with anymore because it's got so much other stuff it's coping with in regards to a build-up of mold and all these sorts of things, funguses and yeasts. And I think mold in particular, I'm going to kind of specifically look at mold. I think mold is a huge issue. One thing while I've been looking at and focusing on mold and where mold is in the body, what I'm finding for a lot of chronic people, and I get chronic people coming to me, people that have been to so many other practitioners before and they've had problems for decades and years, they're bedbound, is that I find with these people is that we focus on mold, the yeast and the fungus, and what I notice, viruses don't come up. So I think we're maybe misdiagnosing things and thinking they're just viruses, but I think mold is a culprit for a majority of people. And I think a lot of times when we bring mold up with people, they go straight away and they think, well, I've exposed the mold within the house or da-da-da-da. But I think it's an internal thing happening here, where we see an unkept place or a damp area of a house, okay, starts to produce mold. Well, there are damp places within the body, right? But I think it's again coming back to that gut and the colonies within your body, where you're always going to have a bit of fungus, you're going to have a bit of yeast, you're going to have a bit of mold and those sorts of things. But it's whether they get out of control and they use your body as a host, because when these things use your body as a host, including parasites, you feel fatigued because all the food, all the nutrients that you're getting through with your diet, you're not absorbing, either because there's been a compromise in the gut wall and all of a sudden escapes into the body, or these things are feeding off some of the nutrients that you're putting in your body, and plus your body's digestive system is not at a good ability to break the food down, and what happens, food sits in the area for a long time, and what we call putrefaction, it creates a fermentation process which creates a cascade of events of proliferation of the molds, the funguses, the yeasts, the parasites, and all of a sudden they can creep around the body, get into your bloodstream, go to other organs. All of a sudden you're in big trouble and you've got a chronic problem. So I'm seeing a lot of that. Another thing I want to talk about is just recently with the ascension processes, there's a lot of turbulence happening right now as we speak, and when energy is shifting and changing in regards to the ascension process, because it's shifting and changing very fast, it's going to be a turbulent time. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to be, we're not going to hold hands and sing around a fire and everything's going to be peaceful and very smooth running. There is going to be turbulence in regards to ascension, okay, with the energy shifts that are occurring. And the latest one, what has come up is there's been activation of your DNA and RNA, and this is pretty cool because the DNA and RNA are upgrading, and it's not because necessarily it's an upgrading of, it's just more getting to the potential of what our DNA and RNA have always been able to do. It's just certain manipulations in regards to, there's been codes on your DNA and RNA that locked your DNA and RNA to only do so much. And what I'm finding, especially also with people's white blood cells, is that that's kind of been limited to a certain degree, because what's white blood cells to do with illness? And that's your body's ability to remove these pathogens from the body, and that's been impaired through coding, especially the being Zeus's coding, an intent that's been placed on DNA and RNA is lifting now. So what this means is our DNA and RNA are now having the potential to do more. Okay, what that is, I've still got to douse and find out a bit more, but what I'm noticing straight away is that it is definitely upgrading your DNA, upgrading your white blood cells in regards to your immune system. And that's why I'm finding I've got quite a lot of clients at the moment that are quite intuitive and very sensitive to the energies, and they're all coming down with colds and infections at the moment. I think that's just the turbulence of the shift that's occurring, and what that's signaling to me, and what I'm finding with my dowsing, it's not necessarily they're all of a sudden weak and they're catching something. This is something deep within them that they've had, especially the molds, that are starting to finally be broken and removed from the system that's been sitting there for such a long time. Okay, and that's what I keep seeing with these things. It's not necessarily new things coming up. We're just going deeper and deeper into the body, and this may be just emotions, an emotional trauma that has been sitting there for a long time, all of a sudden being surfaced, and that comes across as being, feeling like crap essentially, and going through a very turbulent time. But it has to happen to completely get rid of it. So I think we're just going deeper levels, including the molds, the funguses, and the yeasts within the body. They're all of a sudden being surfaced, so we can get rid of them. That may mean you having a really nasty cold or flu-like symptoms. A lot of them are having fever-like symptoms and aches and pains within the body, which is really all these things that have been stuck in their body for a long time is surfacing up, and now we can process it and get rid of it. So it'll be interesting to see now in the next few days and next few weeks what's going to happen in regards to that. And I usually, because my channel has been directing me to working on the gut, working on getting rid of mold, the importance of getting rid of mold and yeast and mold and fungus. It's interesting that came about, and then all of a sudden now there's been an unlocking of the DNA, especially in regards to white blood cells. So that gives me an indication that it's now time for a lot of that deep core stuff, which has really been suppressing your immune system, and especially with a lot of chronic illnesses, is now being surfaced up, and we can get rid of it now. So even though people are going through a really hard time, it's good news for the long run. Anyway, so I thought I'd give you an update of what's been happening of late here at Truly Holistic. Got a lot of other projects on the go, some new tools, some new designs for new tools, so I'm really excited about that. Hopefully in the next week or two I can do a video in regards to that with some new products coming my way in regards to Truly Holistic. See you later.